Good morning, everyone. I'm Roel, and today we're going to quickly look at the software side of the temperature screening devices, how to import and use them on HikCentral as well as 4200. So hopefully I'll be able to teach you one or two things and possibly help you on a site that you might already have a problem with and not maybe know exactly how to do it. This is going to help you a lot. Okay, so let's start. So today we're going to look at the introduction of HikCentral. First of all, what HikCentral can actually provide to you or help you with. We're going to look at the deployment and the access control as well as HikCentral and DeepinMind NVR. And then after that, we're going to look at the same things but for IVMS4200 and then some technical Q&As, if you will. All right, so let's quickly have a look at the introduction of HikCentral. Now, this is a screenshot basically to show you what kind of functionality you would have with different combinations of products. And over here, we've got a recommendation. So you can see the 4 different colors, and that represents the 4 different colors over there. So we've got your temporary scenario. That'll be the top one. So temporary usage of the temperature screening and HikCentral, if you will. Then we've got reopening scenarios. So reopening of, let's say, schools and businesses and so forth. And then we're going to look at the interactive AI group screening. And then the last one will be the special demand for customers. And we're going to talk about most of these as we go through the whole PPT. So you can see here with the marked in red, so all the red tick boxes are functionality that HikCentral has with these products. And then the gray marked is that the products either have on its own or in a combination of. So you can see that we tick basically all the boxes. For the bottom one, don't worry about it being empty because this is looking specifically at the people counting part. And the people counting, that's to control the people density and keep social distancing. So the people counting specifically is meant for those two there. And then the rest of the products for the temperature screening parts. So from your attendance reports, historical temperature data, skin surface temperature analysis, alarms, abnormal registrations. We're going to talk about the registration part a little bit later, which I'll explain. Face searches, so all captured pictures, all captured faces, can you search it? So you can use it over there with the DeepinMind NVR. Abnormal temperature alarm, so you can see right through the bank, obviously any abnormal temperatures. Bispectrum view, so bispectrum you'll get from the normal cameras, like you can see over there. Obviously not from this one, although it's got the thermal camera, but the normal camera is meant for the facial recognition side. Mass detection, there we go, and then the real-time temperature results displayed. So most of the boxes are ticked, and I think this basically covers all the scenarios that we need to cover when we do installation of these products. All right, so let's quickly have a look at the products themselves. So you'll make a decision between your turret and your bullet cameras if you want to either temporarily or permanently mount cameras. Use it in conjunction with a black body calibrator, if you will. Then we've got the access control side of things. So access control is obviously a little bit more permanent installation unless you mount this to one of those pole brackets, which we're going to cover a little bit later as well. We've got this screen over here, that's the DS-KC001. This is meant for the video intercom function. So if you use the device for both staff and visitors, then a visitor obviously will not have a registered face. They can click the intercom button, it'll ring through to either receptionist or the security guard, and they can then obviously open it up or get someone to go and escort them. We can look at the DeepinMind NVRs and then also the I-series NVRs. There's a bit of difference when it comes to the functionality between these two, and we're going to explain them as we go through. Please note the firmware versions of these products. Make sure that they are on the absolute latest firmware versions, just to make sure that you've got proper compatibility and accuracy and all those kind of things. So make sure you've got the latest, but we do have the latest listed over there. And if you want to download HikCentral Professional, this is where you'll find it. So you're going to go to our website. It'll directly take you to the Africa portal. Then go to support, download software, and then you'll find HikCentral Professional Temperature Screening over there. So make sure you've got the right version of HikCentral installed. All right, so let's quickly have a look at the key features when it comes to HikCentral, but obviously specifically aimed at the temperature screening side of things. So your fast deployment, your fast deployment, I'm going to show you that video now. Fast deployment has got an app as well, so HikCentral apps, not the HikConnect app. Okay, so just make sure you download the HikCentral app. So we do the skin surface temperature display over there, mask detection, abnormal temperature pop-ups. You're going to have all of these things done. And then just to give you an idea of a machine specification, about at least 8 gigabits of RAM without pStore. So pStore is a storage side of HikCentral. So if you're not going to run pStore specifically, about 8 gigs of RAM, PC with a Core i5 CPU with about 16 gigs of RAM will help you with a pStore for about two video channels. If you're going to add a pStore to it, to record about 2 video channels on it, make sure you've got at least about 16 gigs of RAM. And it's not 16 gigs per 2 video channels, right? So let's just get that clear. But yeah, so that's just a quick idea of the kind of machine spec that you need for it. Let me quickly show you the app and what it, not the app, the video, what it looks like. All right, so this is the control client, the viewing station part of HikCentral. And you can see the video coming through. Let me just quickly show you that again. I'm going to quickly forward back to it again. It's quite quick. All right, so you can see your live videos on the right-hand side. You can see your temperatures. You can see your transactions and everything coming through there. And then obviously the alarms can pop up. All right, so we're going to look at that a little bit more at a later stage today. Then we can also display all the information from the web client. Now, the web client is the management side of HikCentral, so you don't need to run a control client, a secondary PC for this. From the web client, you can also get results and things like this. So your live view and so forth of the camera, you can see again on the right hand side, you get your temperatures. And if there's any abnormal temperature, it'll be marked in red like this one over here. There you go. All right, so web client also has this now, which is also a bit of an upgrade from what we had previously. So this is just your real-time temperature analysis. Basically the video that we saw there, that's just the image. And then what we can do is we can register people. So if an abnormal temperature comes through, there'll be a registration button and you can quickly fill in the person's details just to keep track of it. All right. Okay, so real-time inspection. This is now from the control client side. So if you have the second viewing station of HikCentral, not a second one, the viewing station PC for HikCentral, then this is the main window that you'll see from the control client. And then if we're going to go and view the cameras for the temperature screening, this is typically the video interface that you'll see over there. So you can get alarms with masks, alarms without masks, and obviously abnormal temperatures, like you can see the video over there. So you can see the temperatures are all marked abnormally. Abnormal temperatures are marked in red. Normal temperatures are not flagged at all, so that's the normal colors over there. And you can see the door statuses and so forth. So you can click and open up a door, or you can see if the door is actually opening up for them. Okay. The next one is alarms without masks. So you can set up alarms without masks and with masks and any kind of combination that you want. You can see over here, it shows you the total number of people that actually passed the camera, the number of people that is not wearing the masks, normal temperature measurements, and any abnormal temperatures will list in like that. So you can also see the different colors, the same colors like we have on top there. You've got the colors over here, so it's nice and easy to quickly find and see results on them. Okay, now for the alarm handling side, and we're going to show you a little bit later how to set up these alarms, but I want to quickly just show you now, how you handle these alarms and so forth. Obviously, you'll set up alarm for above a certain temperature range. You want to get those through. Maybe if people aren't wearing masks, those kind of things, you want to quickly get an alarm for those things, and then how you handle it. So yeah, we can quickly see how to search for people. So let's say previous records of people maybe either wearing masks or without masks, abnormal temperatures, and so forth. So it's literally just a few clicks just to get your results through. You can see over there. So this is your face search part. You can obviously choose a camera or multiple cameras, and you choose your options over here. Wearing masks, not wearing masks, temperatures, those kind of things. Click the search button and you're going to get your results. Now these results can also be exported, which again, I will show you a little bit later how to export them. So what he's doing there now is you can add a certain temperature. So you can do another search to say, right, show me all the temperatures above what he's putting in there, 37.8, and it'll give you results only for those and above. There you go. Okay. All right, so now for the alarm reports and evidence exports, obviously we need to be able to find certain events and be able to export them. You can also quickly search by tag and also alarm video export, so we can check and export those and then do your video record management from there. So after you find your results, you tick the tick boxes for those that you want to export. You click on the export button, it's going to open up this. It'll ask you in which format you want to export them and if you want to encrypt the video or not. And then click the export button and your video is exported. Easy as that. The next one will show you alarm video export. So you're going to do a search for alarms. So specific alarms, you can see you can put up a whole lot of filters over there and also choose your sources, you know, where it's coming from, which cameras and so on. And then do a search. This looks similar to the alarm center in HikCentral. So it's easy. You don't have to learn like 7,000 different interfaces and so on. It keeps it nice and standard. And then also, again, you can export them in either Excel, CSV, or PDF formats. All right. Now, the other thing is obviously you want to reduce paperwork. Paperwork takes time. They get lost. They get damaged, all those kind of things. So we want to take everything electronic. And this is what I mentioned before is registration of abnormal temperatures. So I'm going to quickly show you the video of that there. So once you find an abnormal temperature or abnormal result, you can click on the registration button that'll be listed just below the image. It's going to bring you to this page to register people. It'll take that same image, you can put in the details, and that person will be registered in the system. So it's much easier to trace a certain person. Like nowadays, we obviously have to trace and make sure you can follow the trail of infections and those kind of things. All right. On the right-hand side, you can see there's an overview of, it's like a dashboard. So it's a quick glance to see, you know, a bunch of information all together. So you can see there's your temperature screening overview, how many was normal, abnormal, those kind of things. Detail of registrations for different sites. So you can obviously manage with HikCentral, you can manage different sites, right? So it doesn't have to be just one site at a time. You can combine a whole bunch of sites into one control room and manage it all from there. So here you can see the registrations from different sites and so forth, skin surface temperature results, etc., etc. So it's much easier and better to do it all from one centralized point. All right, so employee attendance management, alarms you can do again with or without masks, and obviously alarms with abnormal temperatures. Let me show you the video for that. So again, it's your alarm search. You're going to choose the different filters, set up different filters, your camera source. You can even put in a person's name, details, those kind of things. This is obviously for people that have got, that was registered in the system, maybe with faces and those kind of things. So you've got identities in the system for them. And that's why, again, it's for the employees mainly. So you've got the results over there, which can also then be exported. So do a quick search for people with either, you know, not wearing masks or the temperatures were abnormal or whatever. So it's very easy to get these results out and then obviously export it as well. All right. Now the visualization temperature measurement data export, I'm going to quickly show you what that does, but it's a nice graphical way to see statistics basically. So you get reports according to the person and times and those kind of things, reports with abnormal temperature and no mask, face searches with temperature status, etc., etc. So this is a quick way to see on a dashboard-like type of interface. Again, you're going to put in your search criteria over there, and over there you can see the total number, which is the blue or grayish one, and then abnormal temperatures, no masks, and so forth. And again, everything can be exported for evidence for later use. So you can see the two different kinds of graphs over there, whichever one suits you better. And what he's going to do now is to have all the results on one graph. So it shows total again, with masks, without masks, all those kind of things. Okay. All right, alarm and report display. So HikCentral is obviously a very flexible platform. It's completely scalable, so you can start off small if you want to, have a plan to grow in future, those kind of things. So it's a modular, so you can build it up as you go along. And then obviously it's quite strong because it gives you all the alarms, the events, all kinds of records will be stored and so forth. So easy export, easy management, basically. So you get your real-time alarms, like I showed you earlier. You can do an alarm pop-up, so you can have a separate monitor, a separate window, basically pop up to draw more attention. You can have it make a noise if you want to. Export your logs, draw your graphs, all those kind of things, register people, and. So it's very flexible and quite user-friendly and easy to use. Okay, so these are all the different kinds of exports and outputs that you can get from the system for reporting purposes. All right, so the deployment for this, what we need to do after installation of HikCentral, this will show you and help you to get up and running. All right, so first of all, you need to add your thermal camera or device that we're going to add into the physical view of HikCentral. Then we need to add a thermometry point group. Right, so a group is like a combination of a whole bunch of thermometry points. You can also just have one camera in a thermometry point if you want to. So you need to add the group first, and then you add those cameras to those groups. Then you're going to set the temperature threshold. So you'll tell the system, right, alert me of any temperature above X, whatever the X is. We normally recommend about 37.2-ish degrees, run about there is a good starting point. Then we need to configure alarms for those temperatures. So whenever the system receives an alarm or temperature above that temperature that you set, it needs to push an alarm through to your control client or make some kind of a note or record of it. Then we need to be able to check and find those results afterwards. So check results as they come through, and then obviously search those records, either video or just the snapshots. So this part of this presentation, I'm going to quickly take you through setting all of this up. You'll see it is not that difficult, actually quite easy. Right, so under physical view, we need to go and add the device under encoding device. If it's a camera, if it's access control terminal, you'll add it under access control device. So what he's currently doing is adding a camera. It's either bullet or a turret camera. Okay, and then he switched off the video storage, so it's up to you. If you don't want to store it, then you don't have to, but it's always better to have some kind of a storage device. This is doing a remote configuration to the camera itself, so you can remotely configure the camera and set it up. So what's important is that you go to body thermometry and then the basic settings there. Make sure that you've got all these tick boxes enabled, because that'll add things to the temperatures, to the streams, to the snapshots, and all those kind of things, right? Then the next one is the body thermometry. This is where you're going to do your whole configuration. And again, I would recommend that you keep these tick boxes switched on or enabled to get as much information as possible out of the system. Over there is your alarm temperature. So this is where you set maybe your 37.2 degrees, like I mentioned earlier, or whatever temperature threshold you want to set up. So that's your alarm temperature that's going to come through to HikCentral. Now you'll see by default, there'll be a red box in the camera view. So you can see we're busy with camera number 1, which is the optical, the color camera. Camera number 2 will be the thermal. So the red box is visible on the color camera. That basically points out what the thermal camera will see. Remember, the thermal and the optical cameras have got different lens sizes, right? So focal lengths, basically. So make sure that this yellow box, the yellow box is the detection area where we're going to do the temperature detection, pick up faces, and then do the temperature measurements. That needs to stay inside the red box, okay? Don't move it out of the red box because the red box depicts what the thermal camera can see. So if you move the yellow box out of the red box, the thermal camera will not pick up properly. Right, so that's important, and obviously minimum, maximum pupil distances you have to set up as well. Right, but the main big important thing there is to have the yellow box inside of the red. Okay, so to get the thermometry point, so he's setting up a thermometry group now. You can see on the left-hand side, he's just created test 5 over there. So adding groups over here, and now we add the cameras, those thermometry points to those specific groups for easier monitoring. Right. thermometry threshold. This is now the alarms you also set up, so you can tell the system to create an alarm on those things there. And there we go. All right, so set up and it'll alert you once there's a temperature above a certain level. Okay, so the next one is the body thermometry module. It'll show you the temperature measurement results. This is now for specific doors, so he's got the terminals imported into HikCentral for this purpose over here. You can see both the video and the optical and the thermal from it. All right, and there you can see the registration button that I mentioned before. The registration button will take that image that it picked up and you can add the person's details. Okay, this is like typically those forms that you need to fill in or whatever, so it's easier just to register a person this way. It's much better to keep track of them. All right, so there you can see all the registered people with their temperatures as it was picked up, and it's easier to monitor them in the future then. All right, so you can see that person there has been registered already. You can edit it if you want to, or register another person from the screen over here. It's much easier to keep track of people. The traceability basically of this whole COVID thing. This is your dashboard that I mentioned earlier. You can get an overview, alarms in total there, measured in total, registered and unregistered people, temperatures over here, with the results on that side there. So you can see from a splash screen, it is much easier to manage this. You can see it at a glance to see if there's any problems or not. All right, so the next one, you need to set the working mode. This is now for the access control terminals. Make sure the working mode is set to access control. If you have the K5600 series terminals, which are more meant for the string gate barriers, you need to put it onto the other mode. But for your normal access control terminals, facial recognition terminals, you're going to use access control mode. All right, so you're adding a device a similar way, but this time we're going to add it under access control devices. So you add it in a similar way, so it needs IP address, usernames, passwords, ports, those kind of things. When you add a device, but just make sure you don't add it under encoding device, but under access control device. Okay, so over there you can see two devices added. One is online, one is offline, and you can also do a configuration. So there again is your temperature thresholds. The temperature thresholds you can set up for your alarm creation. What is very important is syncing the time with your computer time, especially if you're going to set it up as in a proper access control system. You want to keep the times and all those kind of things synchronized so everything is on the same time. Again, under the body temperature configuration. Okay, another thermometry group that is creating there. You choose your particular device that you want or devices that you want into this group. Like it's just added the camera over there, or the terminal over there. All right, so you can see it, the workflow is very similar. You just need to make sure that cameras you add under encoding devices. Access control devices, you need to make sure about the working mode first of all. Make sure it's on access control mode, and then you start adding the access control terminals under access control devices and not the encoding devices. All right, Q&A. These questions obviously came from some customers before. The first one is, do I need a license for the temperature screening function? So let's say you got your HikCentral base license and so forth. Do I need an extra license to get the temperatures out of the system? All right, so the answer is no, right? You do not need an extra license. If you already have a license for the access control device or the bullet or the turret camera and the encoding devices and so forth, you don't need any extra licenses. It's already included in your base license. Okay, so that's the importance that no more extra licenses needed for this extra function. All right, and then the registration function. The registration function, I think I mentioned about 3 or 4 times already. Just the purpose of that function is for better information retrieving and storage. Again, for the traceability of people, it's important to be able to have information so that they can be traced if, in case somebody got in contact with a person that was infected with COVID or whatever, you need to be able to trace, and this is the way of storing your records instead of pen and paper, which takes time and get lost and so forth. All right, let's quickly have a look at the access control side. All right, and the access control, this is going to take you through the whole flow of things. So again, changing the working mode. So the previous one, we're more concentrated on the cameras, all right, the bispectrum cameras, although we did touch on the terminals. Here is full on terminals, so we need to make sure about the working mode. We need to add the device under physical view, but this time, like we saw on the previous one of the previous videos, access control device, right? So we add access levels and time and attendance configuration. I'm going to show you a video of that. How to set that up. Personnel management, because obviously access control devices, we need to have people registered on the access control system. How and where we do that. Set up any alarms that we want to get through, obviously temperatures, masks, those kind of things. We want to set that up and then search records and reports afterwards, right? So I'm going to quickly take you through this whole flow. Right, so working mode, first thing, just go double check that the working mode is actually set to access control. All right, so access control, although it's a facial recognition terminal, put it under access control terminal. The face recognition terminal is the other one that goes with the string gate barriers, right? So for all the normal min mode devices, 671s, or all those kind of things, we're going to put it under access control terminal. Right, under access control devices, under physical view, we're going to add a terminal over here. And this is just obviously a repeat of one of the previous videos, this portion at least, of adding the devices. But you can see it's quite easy. All right, so device added. This is obviously configuration of the device itself. All right, your temperature threshold, we saw that. And again, I want to stress this again, the synchronized time there. Make sure all your devices, especially if you do time and attendance, those kind of things, you need to make sure all your devices are synchronized time-wise. All right, so time and attendance, you're setting up over there now. For time and attendance, you obviously need to create your shifts and time per shifts and lunch breaks, and if a person is leaving early or getting to the office late, and so forth. So this is what we need to set up at these different access points. Okay, to add people, you're going to basically follow this in this sequence, so from left to right. The persons list, you're going to create and add all your people. Add their faces, their details, and so forth. It's quite easy to get a photograph in the system. You can see we've got 3 options there. We can upload, so if you can browse to your hard drive and look at the images there that you've captured before, or used one of the terminal devices to capture it. Okay, you need to add a card number, right? So even if you're not using an actual card, you need to add a card number because everything references in the access control system, everything references back to the card number. So make sure that there's a card number for the referencing. All right, so some people added into the system. Then we go to face comparison groups. So we want to add these people into certain groups. So you're going to have a group called maybe staff, another group called VIP guests or whatever. So you're going to create different groups for them and then upload certain, the pictures into those groups. So here you can see we've got those 2 existing ones, or from the same menu you can add faces to this group. Then the access group. So where and when they've got access, basically, right? So you're going to put a group name. So you're going to call this maybe maintenance staff or whatever, and create specific groups and doors for them to access. All right, so this is the access level. Again, where they can access, and obviously the time schedule, like we've got the time schedule template over there. The default is all-day template, which means 24/7 access. But you can go and add more schedules over there if you'd like. Okay, the Apply Now button pushes this information to the devices. So it's important not to ignore that. You need to make sure that you push it through. All right, so the next one is the attendance group. This is more your time and attendance function over here. You're going to set up the different kinds of schedules that you need for people that maybe works on flexible time schedules and so forth. So this is where you add all your schedules. Okay, it's a drag functionality, and as soon as you click on it, you get a little bit more information there. So you can say allow for being late, leaving early, how much time you want to allow for those things, scheduled work time, so start and end times, minimum work hours per day. So this is the full time and attendance setup basically. And then here you've got a break time as well. How much time do you allow for a person to have lunch or have a break? So everything configured over here, and then from here you can save and copy it to the rest of the week, or just save the one day. It's up to you, whichever way that you want it. Okay, so there's saving and copying to the rest of the days, and you can choose, Monday through to Friday, or all 7 days, or whichever days that you want from the system. Okay, once you're done, you click add, and that's it. That's your schedule added for a time and attendance. Okay, so the button that you clicked on now is add and add person. So add the schedule and add people to the schedule. So there from the previous list, you can actually add people to those schedules. So it's got a nice flow and easy flow. You don't have to jump back and forth, back to people, back to groups and time schedules and all those kind of things. It's all available in a nice flow, so you don't forget anything. All right, the next thing that he's setting up there is some alarms. So first, system monitoring event. It's going to be a door event, obviously, because it's got to do with the access control. If it's got to do with people in the access control, you're going to set up a person alarm. Right. So this one, abnormal body temperature at a specific door. You're going to choose your door and then choose what kind of things that you need it to do once this temperature is reached at a certain door. Okay, so he's linking that, again, the same door again. So a link access point there, and you can tell it to stay locked or unlock the door or whatever. So what kind of action must that terminal have or do once the temperature is reached? Because obviously we don't want to open up doors when your temperature is above a certain level. You don't want to allow access, although time schedules, all those kind of things allows for a person to enter. If the temperature is too high, you don't want to unlock the door. So he's got trigger pop-up windows. So whenever the operator sits in front of his control client machine and this event happens, you'll get a separate pop-up window on that to draw attention. But like I said, you can also make an alarm on that, and you'll obviously get the alarm through to your control client, your alarm center in your control client as well. All right, this is the control client. You can see clicked on door there. That's for your access points. So you can see the doors on top. Where's the video now? Okay, let me just go a little bit backwards to that part there. All right, so you clicked on the door button over there. This is for your normal CCTV monitoring. I don't know if you can see my mouse, sorry. This is for your normal CCTV monitoring over there. And you've got your door access, so more for the access control side of things there. And then if I'm just going to scroll into the video slightly. Okay, there we go. All right, so from here, we can see the door and the door status as well. You can see this one is locked. This door is actually open. And over here, you get your results. So you can see who it was. Those people are obviously registered into the system. You can see their details over here. These two people are not registered, so no details for them, but abnormal temperatures. You can see the abnormal temperatures are marked in red. So it's quick and easy to see what happened, who entered, and so forth. And you can see, obviously, for the red ones, access denied. So they obviously wanted to come through. This was obviously before the temperature was set up. All right, so that is the interface of the control client. All right, Q&A time. What's the difference between new and old configuration of the MINMO device? You all know the MINMO. I'm sure you know the MINMO by now. It is our access control, temperature screening, access control terminals. The ones with the thermal camera on top, and then obviously the optical cameras inside. So the MINMOs is our whole range of temperature screening access control terminals. All right, so what's the difference between the new and the old configuration of the MINMO? Again, like I stressed earlier, firmware is key. You need to make sure that your firmware is up to date. Okay, so the new min-mode devices and cameras are integrated. All right, so the new ones are integrated. So make sure, well, let me tell you one. The old min-mode devices and cameras are separate, right? So which means that you had to import them into HikCentral separately, the thermal and the optical, right? So the new ones, no need, right? So you import the device once and you have access to both the optical and the thermal images. There's no need to link any cameras on the web client. Okay, when adding a min-mode device with old firmware, you need to link the camera. You need to link the thermal and the optical together, right? The thermal and the terminal together. But with the new firmware, no more need for that. All right. Can an access control device use temperature screening function on the web client? All right. So it's similar to your thermal cameras. After adding your device, you need to add the door as a thermometry point. So the thermometry points are what's being monitored, and that's where you get your temperatures. So just make sure you got your thermometry points in your thermometry groups, and then you'll be able to get these results. And this is now from the web client. Remember, I showed you the live view interface that the web client has got now, right? That's where this is going. All right, the DeepinMind NVR with HikCentral. Right, so first of all, on the camera web interface, we need to do the camera configuration. All right, so the DeepinMind NVR, from that interface, you cannot configure the thermal camera, not for temperature screening anyway. So we're going to do this on the web interface of the thermal camera, and I'm sure you've seen this before. Then we need to add the device in physical view in HikCentral, right? We're going to do personnel management that we can do again under person, under the person button, like we saw on the access control side. Event and alarm, very similar to all the other alarms we set up, and then also to check the records and reports that we'll do from the control client side. All right, let me take you through the configuration. So first we need to do the configuration of the thermal camera on the thermal camera's web interface. Okay. Okay, so what's important is the display VCA by video, right? So that's quite important to enable that part there. And again, we go through this. So we've been to body thermometry before, basic settings, body thermometry, and I told you about these red and yellow boxes over there. So that's similar to the video that we saw earlier. Okay, camera 2 will be your thermal camera. There we go. There's a thermal camera. And we obviously want to do the temperature compensation. Over there is the temperature compensation to set it up to do the measurement of the temperatures. And then faces. So background upload means that the camera will upload these faces to the DeepinMind NVR in the background. Okay, this is logging into the DeepinMind NVR's web interface. And we need to obviously add the thermal camera to the NVR. Configuration. And then under system, you'll find camera management. So you can't really go wrong here. It asks you for IP address, usernames, passwords. Just add those things and your camera should be added to the DeepinMind NVR. Okay, there you go. It picked up both channels of the thermal camera because remember the thermal camera is bi-spectrum. So channel 1 will be your optical camera, channel 2 will be your thermal camera. Okay, so basically just refresh the page to make sure that both cameras, both channels are online. Right, back at HikCentral under physical view, we're going to add the device, and under encoding devices, we're going to add the DeepinMind NVR. And this is your standard addition of any devices, whether it's a camera, NVR, and we've seen the screen quite a few times already. So this is just to take you through it, just to make sure we cover all the steps. Okay, NVR added, there we go. Now, what you need to do next, and I'm going to actually pause the video there, and let me just quickly pause it. All right. So it's important to have your facial license for the camera to do the facial recognition. Okay, let me just get, where is that button now? There we go, facial recognition camera. So because we've got a DeepinMind NVR and we've got the bispectrum thermal camera, we can use the optical camera as the facial recognition, or portion of it at least. The DeepinMind NVR is going to do the facial recognition part, but we need the optical part of the thermal camera to give us the ability to check faces. You have to link that to a license, right? So that you need a license for. You can see we need to now link the camera. We need to link that particular camera channel to a facial recognition license. That's what we need to do over here before we can actually carry on. All right, so that's quite important to make sure that your license is linked to a camera. Okay, so it's choosing the DeepinMind NVR and adding the thermal, adding the camera to that license. Okay, under person module, we need to go and add people, similar to what we did under the access control side. You still need to have a person's list of person faces, those kind of things with their details. So it's created a group. Then we're going to add people into this group here. And this, we also saw, again, it's same to the access control. So you can see that no matter what you do here, whether it's for access control or facial recognition or whatever, the flow of things are the same, which makes it easier to learn, first of all, and it's easier to manage. Okay, so his machine is just a little slow, but that is adding a person. There we go. All right. So this person has been added to the group. Then we're going to add him to the facial comparison group. And again, you want to have maybe groups for staff, visitors, or maybe suspects, or whatever the case might be. So you're going to have multiple lists for them and add those faces to the specific list. Because per list, you want to obviously create an alarm. So if it's staff, then no alarm. If it's a person that's previously burgled your place or whatever, then you want to obviously set up an alarm. So after that, you're going to go and set up alarms for these specific lists. And then we're going to go and do it under person. So abnormal temperature alarm. So any abnormal temperature coming from those cameras will be added as an alarm. And then if there's no masks, so if a person is not wearing a mask, you can also create a specific alarm or event of that particular thing that happened. Okay, so the main difference between system monitored event that we saw there and the alarms are the ones that get pushed through to the control client machines, right? System monitored event does not push through. You can upgrade that as an alarm, but otherwise your normal alarms over here is what we're going to push through to specific operators, and you can choose which operators you want to push it through to. So as you're setting up, you set up both system monitored events so they can get logged, and then also alarms for the same thing. So abnormal temperatures and no masks to be able to push through to a specific operator if you want to. Triggering pop-up window, they will make sure that there's a separate window that comes up in front of the operators so that it's easier to notice that something has happened. All right, so that is that part. Okay, so here under the control client side, under monitoring, we'll be able to see the live video. And again, on the right-hand side, you can see the temperatures coming through. Okay, so that's your live view screen. You can see people are wearing masks. If there's no mask, you can do the comparison. So you've got the database registered photo and the live capture photograph next to it. You can compare the two. All right, so he's wearing a mask as being stated there. Again, you've got your totals there on top, abnormal masks, not wearing, abnormal temperatures, not wearing masks, all those kind of things. Your alarm center button over there will take you through to your alarm center. You can see the events over here, plus the actual image was taken at that time, the capture image. So it's much easier to find events and also to acknowledge them. So if you need to acknowledge the listen, I did confront the person, we made him put up his mask, or we tested him again with mercury thermometer, or whatever the case might be, but there is an acknowledgement screen over there to force operators to do something about the situation as well. This is the alarm and event searches. So this is again similar to what we've seen before. You're going to state what you want to look for. So you look for a specific person from a specific camera or cameras that you select over here. All right, and what kind of event are you looking for? Faces, match, mismatch, masks, temperatures, whatever the case might be. You can even put in a specific person's name in there if you're looking for a specific person. If you leave it blank, it'll give you all the results. So he's looking for no mask events now. There's a whole bunch of people not wearing masks. If you click on it, you get the actual capture there, and also obviously the detail of the people recognized by the DeepinMind NVR. All right, so here's a face search for captured pictures. You can search for people wearing masks, temperatures normal, whatever the case might be. You can even put in facial person details over here. Click the search button, and out comes your results. Now he's looking for people without masks with abnormal temperatures. And there we go. So you can see all those images are people not wearing masks and their temperatures are higher than the threshold temperature. Or you can now again do a secondary specification of temperatures. So it's only going to give us results for any temperature above whatever you put in there, in this case 37.8, and get your results from there. Okay, so this is also a portion of the video that we saw in the introduction of this presentation earlier. So you can see it's fairly simple and easy to use. Okay, this is the dashboard. Also, again, we saw this in the introduction. The dashboard to see temperatures, abnormal temperatures, not wearing masks, the total number of people. And again, you can export them into an Excel or CSV file if you want to for later later reports. So that's just a time schedule that he's putting up there, and the different kinds of masks there. You select all persons so you can get the total numbers there, all abnormal and not wearing masks. And again, you can export everything into an Excel or a CSV file. Okay. All right, Q&A time. How do you use the I-series NVRs on HikCentral? Okay, so remember the I-series NVR doesn't have the functionality that a DeepinMind has got. The DeepinMind will give you the extra facial recognition, etc. type of functionality. But an I-series NVR can also be used, all right? So after there was a firmware update in May this year, right? Make sure you get the firmware update that was released in May this year, and that'll be able to push through temperatures. So let's say you've got a bispectrum thermal camera connected to normal I-series NVR. That'll be like a 77A16NI-I4 or whatever, or 9632NI. Let's say you don't have the DeepinMind a normal I-series 96 I-series machine. They can now push through the temperatures from the cameras. So the camera will push the temperature to the NVR, and the NVR can now, with this firmware update, push that temperature through to HikCentral as well. Right, so firmware updates, absolutely important. Okay, can I search captured pictures by picture? Okay, so do a picture search by pictures with mask and temperature status. All right, a little bit tricky. No, you cannot. Right, if you search by picture by picture, the mask and temperature statuses are not valid. Okay, it will not be shown. You cannot search for them. Right, so search by picture will not include the mask or the temperatures. All right, so just make sure about that. Don't wonder where it is. It is not there. All right. Okay, which temperature value is on the attendance report? So if you draw an attendance report, there'll obviously be, for your time and attendance reports, there'll be temperatures. Which temperature are we referring to that gets captured into the time and attendance report? That'll be the last temperature reading of that particular person, right? So then the time and attendance report will obviously be personalized, so by specific people, and it'll include a temperature. That'll be the last temperature that was read for that particular person. All right. Okay, so that concludes it for the HikCentral side. Look, if you've got any questions throughout this presentation, I maybe forgotten to mention this, but I think you know about the chat box, or not the chat box, the Q&A box, right? So there's a Q&A box. You can type in questions in there, and we also have Kerwin online that can also answer you live. And then after the presentation, we'll keep the line open for another 5 or 10 minutes for more questions, right? Okay, carrying on with the IVMS4200. Similar to what we've done with the HikCentral, we're just going to do with the 4200. Remember, the big difference between 4200 and HikCentral is the one is free, the other one you pay for, but you'll also have limitation in functionality when it comes to the 4200 being free. But there's quite a bit you can do. There's also a customized version of the 4200 that you need to run, and that is the version of it. If you're unsure about that, contact us. We'll make sure that you get the customized version of the 4200 that'll include your temperature measurements and all those kind of things now. Okay, so it's just busy installing the software at the moment. It's important to right-click on the installation package and run it as administrator. And the same with HikCentral. We didn't actually go through the actual installation of HikCentral, but you need to do the same thing. Right-click on the installation package, the exe, and then run it as administrator to have full Windows administrative rights to install this. Okay, so installation finished. All right, so that's the 4200. This is the actual version of it. Make sure you have this version, right? So for the 4200, it needs to be version 3.2.50.2_E. Right. So this is the customized version of 4200. Make sure you've got the right one, otherwise you're going to struggle with the temperatures. All right, the access control side in 4200. Basically the same as with HikCentral, the same type of flow. We need to add devices into 4200. After you've added your device into 4200, you need to register people, right? Registration of people, meaning taking their snapshot, their photographs, capturing their details. And then we apply the person, we apply it to the devices. So as soon as you click on apply all, it'll push this information through to all your devices that'll use, for facial recognition and so on. And then we can use, we can do a real-time face and temperature checking with the 4200. Okay, so a couple of notes on the 4200 from your event center over here. So if you click on your control panel button over there, you'll find a button that's around about here on the screen, somewhere there. It'll say event center. Event Center will open this up, right? So Event Center will show you a number of information, lists of information. Yeah, it's very similar to the results we got in HikCentral as well. You can see temperatures, abnormal temperature. You can see the 37.9 or whatever. Alarm output triggered there. You can decide what you want displayed in this image by ticking those boxes over there. Now, important thing to notice for the 4200, when temperature is abnormal, the device will trigger an alarm output automatically. You do not need to configure anything else. So there's an alarm output on the terminals and so forth. It'll trigger that alarm output by default, right? Second important thing, the device will upload both the normal image and the thermal image to 4200 after a face is authenticated. That basically means that face needs to be in my database. I need to have a reference picture so that I can compare it to the database and do authentication on that, right? So then only you'll get both images like this. Otherwise, if the face is not in the database, if it's not, let's say it's a visitor or so, you'll only get a thermal image. Right, so the only time that you'll get both is for people that is in the database. Right, you don't need a storage server additionally to the normal 4200. You don't need a storage server for these captures and whatever to be saved. Right, so as is, it's going to work. All right, for real-time events, I might have jumped the gun there a little bit. In temperature measurement only. So if you set up the terminal to do temperature measurements, which means that it will not do facial authentication and all those kind of things. It's purely there to measure people's temperatures as they come into your business or whatever the case might be. Only the thermal image will be available, right? So there's no facial authentication happening or whatever. It's purely checking temperature. Is it okay? Right. Then you'll only get your thermal images uploaded to the system. All right, for the access control side of things, you'll see we are still under Event Center, but we were under that part over there. The first button, the second button is for your searches, right? So if you want to get reports or searches of information, then you go to this button on the left-hand side over here. All right, so you need to select the device as an access control to get the temperature information. So that you do under the device type over here. You click on the button there, make sure you choose from the drop-down access control device. You fill in the detail, you tick the tick boxes of the devices that you want to search, right? And then you can get the search button. You click the search button and you'll get information, right? If you want to search or have more filters, like searching for people, specific card numbers, whatever, you click on the show more button or the show more option. As soon as you click on that there, you're going to get this window. Just if you scroll down a bit, you're going to get this detail over here. So you can see statuses, event types, cards, person name, card numbers, organization. You can do a whole bunch of filters in there. And then hit the search button, and it's going to obviously filter it down to those searches. All right, what you'll find over here, if you selected an item in this list over here, you'll get the person's picture. This is the picture that we use in the database. So your first capture picture to enroll a person. This is the one captured at that moment from the terminal, as well as the thermal image. All right, so those two go together. They're basically live. This is the one that gets pre-loaded into the system when you add people to the system. All right, so for the reporting side, we can obviously export events as well with the 4200. And again, you're going to do it under Event Center. You'll find all your results over here from the searches that we've done just previously on the previous screen. After you've done your searches, you can select the ones that you want to export. And on the top right, sorry, there's your export button. You can click on export all, it'll export everything, whether they're ticked or not. But anyway, so you can export them. The export will be a CSV file, something like this over here. But what it'll do is it'll export both images and temperature details, right? So you'll find your CSV file like this, your images like this, so you can see your temperatures in there and. So all the information will be exported, but obviously separately. Okay, but anyway, everything is there for you to be able to export from the 4200. A couple of notes that's quite important when it comes to the 4200 and access control. No temperature will be overlaid on the capture image. So if I go to the previous slide, you can see these images captured, whether the optical or the thermal, there's no temperature information on the actual capture. So don't go look for it. It will not be there. It's not a function in there. Your temperatures are in your lists like this here. Right. Okay, so no temperature overlaid on the captured image. The normal capture, the normal camera, the optical camera's resolution of the capture will be a lower resolution. Although the camera is about a 2 megapixel upwards, the resolution is 768 by 432, so not extremely high resolution. The thermal image will be 160 by 120, which is the resolution of the terminals. Okay. The thermal camera does not support live view. So even if I go to the live view, I cannot live view the thermal camera from the terminal. You cannot use 4200 to configure the temperature and mask settings. This you need to log into the device to do it, either on the local interface of the terminal, on the local screen of it, or into its web interface. But you cannot do this from the 4200. Similar to what we had with the thermal camera into the DeepinMind NVR into HikCentral, you still had to log into the thermal camera to go do the configuration settings for that day. Okay, and 4200 does not support face mask events, right? Okay, so just take a note of that. Abnormal temperatures cannot trigger an email alarm in 4200. So if you get an abnormal temperature, you can make ding dong or whatever, have a screen pop up, but it will not send an email. An abnormal temperature pop-up notification only supported by the 4200 AC version, right? So there's an AC version which stands for access control. So the 4200 access control version, it's like a light version of 4200. Where it just basically covers the access control sides of the 4200. Okay, so the software that we used in this one, make sure it is this version again, the customized version of the 4200 to get these temperatures through. All right, 4200 in the DeepinMind NVR. So what we need to do is we need to obviously add the device into 4200, right? But before we add the NVR into 4200, it's important to have the correct firmware version on that NVR. Okay, so make sure I showed you the firmware versions of the different devices on one of the initial screens or the initial slides that we went through. Make sure it's the latest firmware for that. If you're unsure, contact us. We'll get you the right firmware version for it. Otherwise, this whole thing's not going to work. All right. So then what we need to do is under maintenance and management, you go to device management, choose a device over there, click on add, and you need to add your device into 4200, but this is fairly simple. Right, then your device will be added, but prior to this, make sure it is on the right firmware version. Okay, then you'll find an AI dashboard. So again, if I go back one screen, from your control panel, that button there with the 4 blocks, from the control panel, you'll find an AI dashboard. An AI dashboard looks like this. From here, you're going to choose skin surface temperature, right? Skin surface temperature will give you an image like this or a screen like this. Now, this is quite nice for people walking into the shop, into the school, into the business, whatever, screen visible to them. They can see themselves, they can see their temperatures being measured, whether they're wearing masks and so forth. And this is very similar to the HikCentral, where you get your total number, abnormal temperatures, not wearing masks, normal temperatures, all those kind of things you can see at a glance from here. Right. So on the right-hand side then of the screen, sorry, my video is just in the way over here. On the right-hand side of this panel there, right, you'll find these buttons over here, right? So those buttons are basically for you to decide what you want displayed over here. So here we can choose face picture, right, so you need to obviously make sure from these over here. To display, what do you want to display? Configure alarm type configuration. For the DeepinMind, we suggest face picture comparison. So if you've got a DeepinMind NVR in the system, make sure you've got your face picture comparison enabled for it for this to work. All right, and then you can obviously choose alarms there. On the second button, what kind of alarms you want it to create. So we can see they're not wearing masks, abnormal temperatures, and so forth. And then the audio. So the right-hand side button of the 3, you can choose a certain audio file to play whenever a temperature is abnormal or not wearing a mask or whatever the case might be. You can enable from that button over there on the right-hand side. Okay, so that's quick and easy from the layout over here, but obviously you just need to know where to click. Okay, face picture retrieval and export using the DeepinMind NVR on 4200. It's going to work like this. So you're going to go to data retrieval, which again is a button on your control panel. So you're going to go to data retrieval first. Secondly, go to face picture retrieval. Then third step, you'll choose a time frame, so a certain time period, and then the specific camera or cameras that you want to search for. Then search by facial features. So you can search wearing masks, temperatures, those kind of things. This is your 5th step, right? You hit the search button, and then you'll get your results over here. And then from the results, you'll be able to export the Excel, so the Excel sheet that I showed you earlier, as well as the pictures, right? So you can export it over here, and obviously visible here is the details of that particular image. So you can see gender, female, age group, if they're wearing glasses, masks, temperatures, all those kind of things are captured in this information over here. And that's the kind of information that'll be part of your Excel export as well as the image. All right. So here is your Excel export. You can see it contains all that information over there. You can see from here temperatures, masks, all those kind of things in the Excel export. Okay, then the reporting side on the 4200, you'll see you'll go to report first. You're going to choose skin surface temperature, right? Then under skin surface temperature, you need to choose your camera. Obviously, choose your time frame, right? The time frame, choose a camera or cameras, hit your search button, and you'll find your information like this. You can enable, tick and untick whatever information you want to display over here in this group, in this graph, sorry. And then from here, if you scroll up and down, you'll get the same numbers. So this obviously represents a certain amount on this side, but you'll get your numbers here for all abnormal masks, no masks, per time frame. You can see this per hour. And then obviously export this again. All right, so reporting is also available and possible in your 4200. That's your Excel export. So you can see this list over here is similar to the one we had over here. So per hour, it'll show you for that particular hour, we had 59 people in total. 46 of them had abnormal temperatures, 14 of them had no masks, and 13 of them had normal skin surface temperatures. All right, so this is your typical Excel export with this information containing All right, alarm and report display from the 4200. Again, 4200 is quite flexible and scalable also. It is quite strong, I must say. It's a very powerful package. This is the splash screens that we showed you earlier, right, with your total numbers and stuff on top over there, the different coloring over here to make it easier to see if there's an alarm condition and so forth. The alarm pop-up window would look something like this here with the image and the information contained in it. Then you'll have your alarm report over there. It includes dates, temperatures, and mask status, right? So I showed you this on the previous screen there. And then obviously your statistical reports that you can either visually display like this or export into your Excel spreadsheets as well. All right, so just a quick comparison between HikCentral and 4200. What you can and cannot do. Sorry, and again, my video is just in the way over here. All right, so first of all, the HikCentral will be listed on the left-hand side and 4200 will be listed on the right-hand side. So a bunch of information that is different between HikCentral and 4200. So for this screen here, all these functions are supported by HikCentral and not by 4200. So I'm not going to go every time and explain this here. All right, so you can register a person information of abnormal temperatures, so person's name, temperatures, and all those kind of things. Remember the registration button that we spoke of earlier. It can be done with HikCentral, but not 42. Temperature reports, data retrieval from MinMo, and all those kind of things you can do from HikCentral and not 42. Access records with temperatures, time and attendance report with temperatures, batch filter attendance results for persons with abnormal temperatures and apply for leave for them. So if it's time and attendance and a person's temperature is abnormal, obviously time and attendance is going to, at the end of the month, he's not going to get the pay that he needs to. So you can apply for leave on that. There's also an open API available for HikCentral so that it can access third-party records. Right, so it can be integrated for third-party usage for your access records with temperatures, right? So available. If you need that, just contact us. We'll help you with that part. Temperature measurement to generate reports according to person's department name, right? Can also be done by HikCentral. So you can see HikCentral in a nutshell is basically a lot more powerful than what 4200 can do. So HikCentral will be basically for your larger corporations, businesses, and so forth. We need all of this information and also be able to, let's say, bring it all back into one control room, manage multiple sites with one platform. That's where HikCentral comes in. All right, timeline as we mentioned. And then, the other thing is also HikCentral will allow for multiple simultaneously logged in devices. So multiple control clients that can be logged in at the same time into the system to get information from it where the 4200 cannot do. That's also a very, very important thing that HikCentral can do. Okay, so HikCentral, more powerful than your 4200 software. If you need a list of more things, whatever, just in general, we can also supply that. All right, some technical materials. You'll find some technical materials on YouTube. So the YouTube, I'm going to keep this screen open. Also, again, Charlene will share this to you after the training, maybe later today or tomorrow or so. We've got a YouTube channel on our official website. You can see, you go to hikvision.com.africa, solutions and products, and you'll find information regarding those things there. So under software, you'll find the HikCentral, obviously, and so forth. We've got a one disk, and we've got a Hikvision app store. Right, so the app store is where you'll find your mobile apps. All right, you can see Android and iOS over there. So eConnect, HikCentral Mobile, right? That's the mobile app for HikCentral specifically, right? eConnect does not interface with HikCentral. So HikCentral's got its own mobile app and so forth. So please get your apps from our app store. And the app store is https://appstore.hikvision.com. Right, make sure you get your apps installed from there onto your mobile devices. Okay, so that is it from my side. Hopefully this helps you quite a bit with your commissioning or new installations, preparing you for new installations. And again, like I said, this material will be made available to you after this presentation. If you have any more questions, please post them on the Q&A box. so that we can answer them. So we're going to keep the Zoom open for another couple of minutes until we've answered most questions. So please, now is the time to ask them, and hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions. I can see that Kerwin also posted his email there. So if it's quite a long question, please mail us or mail Kerwin so that we can answer those questions and perhaps assist you with your problems.